In ancient Greece, dolphins were venerated and believed to be our marine brethren. Killing a dolphin was punishable by death. It was said that dolphins were humans who chose to return to the sea. Poseidon, the god of the sea, entrusted them with the mission of helping humans in peril. Legend became reality for endurance swimmer Adam Walker when a group of dolphins saved him from being attacked by a great white shark in New Zealand. With the help of dolphin specialist Fabien Delfour, he's out to answer a question that's intrigued us since the beginning of time. Why would dolphins come to our aid like this? Could they be our aquatic double of sorts? For this to be the case, dolphins would need to possess abstract and concrete reasoning, self-awareness, the ability to invent tools, the construction of a culture, and finally, a genuine language. The faculties that make humans unique on the planet. It seems impossible. In the previous episode, we discovered that dolphins look upon humans as allies. We saw how they're able to problem solve and grasp mathematical concepts. Dolphins showed us they can recognize themselves in a mirror. An indication that they have awareness of themselves and of others. Finally, orcas, the largest of the dolphin family, demonstrated their amazing concrete intelligence by inventing hunting techniques based on observation. A range of faculties that brings them closer to us. But are they capable of more? Could they truly be our aquatic counterparts? Our quest for answers continues, taking us to new corners of the planet, where we'll meet more top experts. We'll see how dolphins use humans to their own advantage, that they have individual names, and that, like us, they live in groups with distinct cultures. The big question remains, will we one day be able to have a conversation with them? In the wilds of Western Australia, hundreds of kilometers from the nearest town, Shark Bay is home to a long-term study on a special population of bottlenose dolphins. The most astonishing of them is a group of some 20 individuals, surprisingly friendly and curious, that come right up to Monkey Maya Beach. Here for about the past 50 years, it's the dolphins that observe the humans. It all began a long time ago, when local Aboriginal people would return from fishing and toss some of their catch to the dolphins. The habit stuck and was passed down to their progeny. The dolphins now draw crowds, and strict rules have been established to keep from turning them into a circus act. One American biologist has been studying them for over 30 years. She's made a series of fascinating discoveries about dolphin culture, which she's happy to share with visitors.
Sometimes the dolphins will take us for a walk. They'll come to either end of the crowd, but always the dolphins will do what they want to do.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Everyone can hear me okay? Okay, my name is Janet Mann. I'm a professor of biology at Georgetown University. And as you've already learned, this is a surprise. She's actually was named by the researchers because she used to always surprise us at the bow of the boat. She was a crazy bow rider when she was young. And we estimate that she's 38. We think she's about Puck's age, maybe a year older.
Janet's research all started with the members of this group. They're the only dolphins out of the 2,500 in Shark Bay that regularly approach and interact with humans. They fearlessly hunt right under the noses of curious onlookers. Other dolphins sometimes watch from deeper waters, but they themselves never swim near the beach.
The thing that's special about the monkey-Maya dolphins and the dolphins that come into the beach is they kind of acted as ambassadors to the offshore population, and because they weren't afraid of people and had a lot of contact with them, when they join with groups of others, those dolphins become comfortable. And so we've been able to habituate really hundreds, if not thousands of dolphins to our research vessels, and that gives us access to the entire population, not just the ones at the beach.
The ones at the beach, as Janet says, are more than simply curious. The shore is first and foremost one of their preferred hunting grounds. Janet has discovered that the several thousand bottlenose dolphins in Shark Bay are divided into groups, which in turn are divided into families. Each family has its own special characteristics. Each year, Janet brings a small team of students to Shark Bay for 2 months. She's clocked thousands of hours observing these bottlenose dolphins. No doubt reassured by the beach dolphins, the rest of the Shark Bay dolphins now let the researchers come near. Janet can currently recognize nearly 1,500 of the 2,500 living here. She even knows their family trees. And can sometimes work out the dramatic incidents they've undergone. Piglet is with her calf. It's going to be hard for her to take care of him with a wound like that.
She was born in November 1989, and in April 1990, she got tangled in fishing line, and she panicked and was weeping all over the bay. And we found her the next day, and she had somehow worked it off, and now she's got a big shark bite wound. Otherwise, she's been doing okay.
Today, Janet can identify the dozens of clans that make up the tribe. Like the beach dolphins, solitary dolphins, and those that hunt in the waves. But most remarkably, she's discovered 100 or so dolphins exhibiting a behavior that's extremely rare in the animal kingdom. They've developed an incredibly resourceful skill, using a tool.
One of the unique things about Shark Bay is that we have the best documented tool users among dolphins and whales in the world. And this includes a behavior we call sponging, where they use basket sponges, and the sponges are actually an animal. And about 5% of the population, mostly female, tears off these basket sponges from the seafloor, puts them on their rostrum or their beak, and uses them to forage in these deep channels that are anywhere from 8 to 12 meters deep. And they scare up small prey, we think primarily barred sand perch, and then they drop the sponge, catch the fish, and then go back and get their sponge and do it again.
Janet's interns are very lucky to witness such a rare sight. The spongers, as they're called, have understood that sponges offer the best protection for their sensitive beaks while hunting for fish among the abrasive sediments on the ocean floor. It's the only tool use ever observed among sea mammals, with the exception of otters.
So we think it's predominantly a female behavior because females have to hunt more than the males in the sense that they raise offspring, and it's energetically very expensive. To raise an offspring, they have to increase their food intake by at least 50% to nurse a calf. And so the females become very good at hunting, and they specialize in different hunting techniques. And so they focus on the food, and the males focus on the females.
Even more astonishing, the technique is passed on from mother to daughter, which means this group has exclusive access to this type of prey with no risk of competition. Until now, the behavior was only documented by a handful of rare photos. Tool use is the fourth faculty dolphins share with humans. But is this enough for us to affirm that dolphin and human intelligence are comparable?
So people often ask whether the tool use is a form of intelligence, and I guess my quick answer to that is that there are a lot of not so smart animals that use tools, so it's the way they use the tools, how they learn the tool use, how long it takes them to develop the method. Those are the things that take like brain power. We think the smart thing about this is that the fish that they're after don't have a swim bladder, so the echolocation or the sonar doesn't reflect off the swim bladder of the fish. So these fish are inaudible and invisible because they're really well camouflaged and the substrate is really gritty. So the dolphins have actually figured out a way to get at a prey item that nobody else can find or that the other dolphins can't find. You really need a sponge both to protect your beak and also to access to see these fish so you can go and catch them.
The beach dolphins and the spongers are evidence that a large group of dolphins can be subdivided into different communities that develop their own skill set and culture, a culture which shapes the identity of that particular group, another characteristic no longer exclusive to humans. But what happens when many communities decide to come together? It's hard to picture. Altogether, it's estimated the world's dolphin population numbers in the millions. Spectacular gatherings of several thousands of them happen once a year in 4 or 5 different spots around the Earth. The easiest one to observe is off the coast of South Africa. Scientists from around the world flock to the shores of KwaZulu-Natal to witness the extraordinary assembly of dolphins. Naturalist Gail Addison works in the region of the Cape. She helps South African researchers evaluate, species by species, the staggering number of dolphins making up these supergroups. Today, she's with Dr. Vic Petamors from the University of Durban.
It's quite amazing, Gail. These common dolphins are pretty spread out. It's quite interesting how they're sweeping in a line like this. You can see they're actually searching for the sardines when they're in that sort of a line. It's quite a clever way because obviously it's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
And if they see them, then Sentinel send out signals and they'll all charge together?
That's the amazing thing. Hopefully we'll see one, and that it seems to be some sort of signal. They turn instantaneously.
We saw it yesterday. It's amazing.
The group of dolphins just keeps growing in number. It's estimated that for every dolphin visible on the surface, there are 10 more underwater. Gail can't wait to see for herself. Below, it's like a highway at rush hour. 5,000, 6,000 dolphins? A supergroup. Like the first humans on Earth, dolphins shared the vast territory of the oceans. They divided into several populations, then numerous communities that may have shared a common language, a social organization, another similarity with humans. Evidence of the human-dolphin connection is growing stronger. Sometimes dolphins even seem to be more clever than we are. In Laguna, Brazil, dolphins have been using humans for over 2 centuries. 10 generations of dolphins have taught fishermen a hunting technique that benefits everyone.
Hi, Elias. How are you? I'd like to take some pictures of dolphins in the lagoon. Can you take me?
Sure.
Biologist Carolina Bezamat de Abreu is doing her doctoral thesis on this exceptional collaboration between humans and dolphins. The astonishing alliance began back in the 19th century. Most likely by observing fishermen, the dolphins noticed that some mullet were easier to catch than others. Those knocked unconscious by the lead in the casting nets, those injured trying to escape, or those that leapt from the water in fear. All the dolphins needed to do was to find a way to herd more fish near the fishermen. And they did.
Our research group has been working with these population of bottlenose dolphin since the 1980s. So it's a small population, around 50 individuals. And some of them cooperate with the fishermen. So basically through photo identification, we can identify them, each individuals by natural marks on their dorsal fin. So we know which one cooperates with the fishermen and the ones that don't.
The first dolphins to pioneer this teamwork began herding entire schools of mullet toward the fishermen. The technique was honed generation after generation.
Just the other day, I saw this dolphin called Pombinha in Tesoura with her baby. And she goes, and first the little baby is having a look, then he tries to do whatever she does. And it's really, really amazing. We do believe that the mother teaches their young, and so it's a vertical transmission.
Safiko, in charge of the Laguna fishing site, also learned the technique from watching his father.
Hi, Safiko. How are you?
Good. And you?
How long have you been fishing with the dolphins?
Since I was 16.
Have you always fished here in Laguna Bay?
Always.
You learned from your father?
When I was little, I'd bring my father his lunch and would stay to watch and ask questions. I helped my family and learned at the same time. I learned to recognize the dolphins that worked with the fishermen. They weren't the ones that we see now. They were probably their fathers or grandfathers. I finally got so I could recognize all the dolphins working along the coast. When we see the dolphins swim near the shore, we know there'll be fish for everyone. It's hard to fish without them.
So they help you catch more fish?
Absolutely. We catch a lot more with their help.
The dolphins have taught the fishermen where to stand in order to catch the most fish. Every day, mullet from the sea swim into the estuary to feed on seagrass growing in the lagoon. But the combined forces of dolphins and fishermen creates a deadly trap.
The mullet arrive by the estuary. They swim along the rocks of the breakwater over there to head up the river. Over where all the fishermen are lined up is a heap of rocks we call the alagodo. And across from it, there's a sandbar just a little beyond the fishermen over there. When the schools of fish arrive to swim up the river, the dolphins go over to block the end of the passage. The mullet are stopped, and more keep coming. After a while, there's 100 or 200 trapped there.
At that point, the dolphins swim aside to let the mullet through, while other dolphins spin pirouettes to frighten them. The fish swim into the narrow gully and straight toward the fishermen. The dolphins swim behind the mullet to keep them from turning back and let the fishermen know they're coming with telltale looks and signs. There's the signal. Now all the dolphins have to do is wait for the fishermen to do their job so they can collect their share of the haul. The process continues for 2 hours as the tide comes in. There's enough fish for everyone.
Each dolphin has its own way of telling us that the fish are coming. Some make big gestures when they come up for air, like they want to tell us something. Like someone who can't speak but motions with their hands. It's the same with the dolphins. They motion to us to say they're sending the fish.
All the dolphins have names the fishermen use, right?
We give them a name right after they're born. As soon as they come near the shore to fish, it might have something to do with a joke, or the name of a fisherman we like to tease. We go with whatever we feel like at the time.
Do all the fishermen know the names?
Oh yes, we pass them on to all the fishermen along the lagoon.
Does the name have something to do with the dolphins' behavior, or just your jokes?
Mostly our jokes. Scooby was born when the cartoon came out on TV. We thought he looked like Scooby-Doo. Oh, Scooby! Figueiredo was born around when Brazil's president, Figueiredo, was elected. Someone shouted, "Hey, there's Figueiredo," and that became his name. Carube, I can't remember how we came up with that one. But usually the name comes from the jokes that are going around. Electronico was always jumping out of the water. He reminded us of an electronic game that was popular at the time.
A miraculous catch for the fishermen, an easy hunt for the dolphins. Everyone wins. A story of real friendship and cooperation links the fishermen and dolphins of Laguna. But lately, humans haven't been holding up their end of the bargain. City sewage dumped into the water is beginning to make the dolphins sick. Together with Ronaldo, a former fisherman turned photographer, Carolina studies hundreds of disturbing photos of Laguna's dolphins.
We can really see it here.
It's really visible.
It looks like eczema. We're seeing more and more of it on Laguna's dolphins. I think that's number 21. This eczema is caused by water pollution. Their immune system has been compromised and they're more susceptible to this kind of disease. A lot of the dolphins in the group suffer from the same skin condition and it spreads quickly. We're really worried.
It's spreading over the whole body.
The disease is advancing much too quickly, that's for sure. See that one? He had no signs just a few weeks ago.
com doença de pele.
Backed by the Fishermen's Association, Carolina alerted health officials so sewage treatment tanks would be set up. It's the least that could be done to ensure the amazing cooperation between the Laguna fishermen and dolphins continues for generations to come. To sum up, dolphins are intelligent, capable of abstract thinking, have self-awareness and awareness of others, show empathy, use tools, and, in Laguna, even teach us techniques to improve our fishing. The gap separating dolphins from us is growing smaller and smaller. It seems all they're missing is speech. On the Ile de Saint, Adam is back to learn more with Fabienne Delfour. He wonders, do all dolphins on the planet understand each other, or are there differences in the way they communicate?
So what's the average number of a pod?
For bottlenose dolphins, the biggest groups include maybe a few hundred individuals. For other members of the dolphin family, it could be thousands.
And what defines a group?
The supergroup is made up of many smaller groups. They're spread out over a surface of hundreds of square kilometers. The common denominator uniting the group is the possibility of sharing the same language.
So what you're saying is different dialects, so England, Birmingham.
Exactly, different dialects, like Breton, Occitan. That's specifically what structures the group.
The only thing missing is they can't communicate through voice like a human being.
What do you mean by they can't communicate like humans?
Well, they can't ask for fish or say, do you want to come down the road with me? They can't talk like another human being.
You can't begin to imagine how complex their system of communication is, much more than our own, and just as accurate.
In fact, dolphins communicate in several ways, with clicks, whistles, and squeaks, as well as complex gestures. At the Dolphin Research Center in Florida, Dr. Stan Kuchai explains how their language is constructed. First of all, to converse in a group, it's important to know who's speaking to whom. But to do so, each dolphin needs a name, an acoustic identity card.
A number of years ago, Holly told me that they had mothers who could retrieve their calves, and that the trainers were able to ask the mothers to do that. So the mothers could do anything they wanted. They could go get the calf physically, they could use a call to retrieve the calves, whatever they chose, it didn't matter. And what we discovered, which was really exciting to us, was that the mothers almost always use a call. Each mother used a signature whistle to retrieve her calf.
To prove this, they put the mother on one side of the tank and her calf on the other, along with another dolphin. Then they ask the mother to summon her calf. She doesn't move, she just calls. Across the tank, only the calf reacts and swims over to join her. The other dolphin stays put. The moms clearly summoned the calf and not the other dolphin.
The closest analogy that I could relate this to is the animals calling one another just like humans call one another. Hey Steve, come on over here. Or, hey you, come over here.
Holly Iskalinen and her colleagues discovered that dolphin mothers use different calls to retrieve different offspring. It's called a signature whistle. To ask her calf to join her, the mother emits a modified version of her own signature whistle, a whistle she uses specifically with this calf.
If we can start to associate actual behaviors with whistles, vocalizations, or sound, then we can start to see this is communication or this is language. This research is important for us to start to crack the communication code. We've come so far in marine mammal science, and this is the tip of the iceberg.
If dolphins can use their name, their signature whistle, to identify themselves to other dolphins, could they take language even further? And to what ends? Back to South Africa, where thousands of dolphins have gathered off the coast of KwaZulu-Natal. The sardine run is about to begin. The Cape Gannets on Bird Island are aflutter with excitement. 140,000 of them will follow the migrating sardines all the way north of Durban. It's a vital feast for them. The Cape Gannets are the first to spot the sardines from the sky, but the dolphins are always the first to reach them. Followed close behind by sharks. The majority of the dolphins are arriving, alerted by the hammering sound of birds diving into the water several kilometers away. A mass of 4 billion sardines, thousands of tons of food for the taking. Let the mega feast begin. Predators of all kinds flock to this all-you-can-eat buffet. Diving birds, sea lions, groups of bottlenose, and common dolphins. Before long, the sharks join in the feast. The brainpower of the dolphins drives the hunt. The dolphins are experts at communicating and teamwork. Their echolocation clicks, signature whistles, and vocalizations vary from group to group and help them identify and find each other amid the deafening noise. But in the underwater cacophony, it's not enough to simply know each other's position. They also need to coordinate, organize a battle plan, and give specific orders. Right, left, herd them toward me. Unlike the other predators at the banquet, dolphins only hunt in groups. But do they really have a language that complex? For a few moments, the battlefield gives the illusion of calm. Most of the sardines are gone, but in a few hours, it'll all start back up again. Can dolphins really communicate the kind of directions indispensable to coordinating a hunt on the scale of sardine run, with a language containing concepts as abstract as right or left? There's only one way to find out. Give them a complex problem that can only be solved using a sophisticated form of communication. The researchers put a fish in a tube that's closed at both ends. It can only be opened by pulling on the two ropes simultaneously. The first test subject is a dolphin that's never done it before. At first, the dolphin is frustrated. It knows there's a fish inside, but it can't get to it. Another dolphin comes over to help. They try everything. Finally, by trial and error, they succeed, but it's purely by chance. The clever dolphins found the solution, but in this case, there is no proof they used language to do so.
One of the more dominant female would pick a side, pretty much the one that the male was already on. Then he knew to go to the other side, and he started playing with the ropes, but then she was watching him, and she started playing with the ropes. So then that inevitably made them successful because they both started pulling on the ropes at the same time.
Now, one of the two dolphins is removed and replaced by a new one that isn't familiar with the exercise. This time, there's no trial and error. The experienced dolphin makes a few vocalizations to its partner, and they open the container on the first try. The experiment is repeated with yet another dolphin. Each time, it's the same thing. A few vocalizations are exchanged, and they get it the first time. Whatever the instructions are, they translate into grasp the other rope and pull it towards you. The test is conclusive. Dolphins do possess a kind of language. Not the same as ours, of course, but a very different one adapted to their own environment and communication needs. A language we can't even imagine. What's clear, though, is their ability to exchange relatively detailed information. With language, we can finally draw a parallel between our two species. Dolphins are in fact endowed with the 5 faculties once believed to be exclusively human. Dare we imagine that one day we might actually be able to talk to them? Fabienne Delfour wants to think so. In the Bahamas, she joins Denise Hertzing, who runs the Wild Dolphin Project. Together, they're involved in a revolutionary undertaking: speaking with wild dolphins in the open sea. Is it a utopian fantasy? The experiment Denise and Fabienne have been preparing for 2 years could give us the answer.
It's interesting thinking about, how you would bridge a gap with a species. Do you learn their language? Do you expect them to learn your language? Or do you build a mutual language? And everything right now, in the wild at least, tells us that when two species meet, they create a temporary, smaller vocabulary to communicate.
The idea behind the chat program isn't for us to learn dolphin, nor to teach the dolphins to speak English, but to find out if they're willing to learn a simple common language to communicate with us. Young engineers from Georgia Tech, like Celeste Mason, have developed an electronic language adapted to dolphins' vocal capacities. Because they love playing with things that float, the first 2 shared words to learn are scarf and sargassum.
Yeah, the way it's set up right now is these 2 buttons, turn it on. Okay, so I'm going to hit stop. Record is what you're going to hear in the bone conducting headset.
Recording.
Yeah, recording. Yeah. Okay, so keypad is set up so that all our artificial whistles are on the top row. They're basically toys: seagrass, which you'll hear in the headset, and then scarf.
Scarf.
A couple other toys. And then we gave ourselves signature whistles now.
Oh, nice.
So I have a Denise whistle, you have a Fabienne whistle. I'll play mine, for example.
Denise.
Okay, I can hear Denise.
So again, you'll hear Denise or your name in the headset. And we have some of their signature whistles also. So, for example, Pallet and Brat, who are out here. If you see them, you can also say hi to them with their signature whistles.
To test the system, Denise and Fabienne practice playing the way they'll do with the dolphins. They ask one another for the objects and then pass them back and forth the way bottlenose dolphins naturally do.
Denise. Scarf. Fabienne. Scarf. Fabienne. Scarf. Denise. Scarf.
I could easily hear the sounds Denise was playing back. It's perfect. Thanks, Celeste.
Thank you. So we had Fabienne's new signature whistle working, which is good. So when the dolphins are around, we would do the same thing. We would model the system. They're hearing it as a whistle in the water. We're hearing it as a whistle as well as an English word. So if the dolphins decide to get in the game and they want to play, they can mimic the scarf whistle, and that essentially is a request or at least a mimic of the whistle, and we would give them the scarf and we would all play together.
It's a peaceful evening, but the researchers are impatient for the next day. Will they actually be able to exchange words with the dolphins? In the early morning hours above a sunken ship, the dolphins joined Fabienne, Denise, and her assistant Bethany. Good news! Brat, whose signature whistle is recorded in the computer, is here. It's showtime. Denise gets right to it and transmits the first whistles.
Denise. Scarf. Scarf.
Brat seems interested right away. After whistling his name, he takes the scarf, followed by two dolphins that start to play with him. Denise asks him for the scarf.
Denise. Scarf.
Brat whistles his name, then tries to mimic the word for scarf. Bethany now tries with a piece of sargassum.
Bethany. Sargassum.
Brat identifies himself. The dolphins get into the game, but have trouble pronouncing the artificial words of the invented language.
Bethany.
They clearly understand what's expected of them, but despite their best efforts, their pronunciation is inexact. After 2 hours, chilled to the bone, the scientists leave the water. They know they've made headway, but there's still work to do.
We know the dolphins are interested in the system and continue to interact with it. They even try to mimic the sounds made by the computer. However, the computer's not able to recognize all their sounds. It's like the software's programmed to recognize the word pink, and some people might say pink, and others might say pank. We know it's the same word and means the same thing, but the computer isn't sophisticated enough to make that distinction. Once we fix the glitch, we'll have a clear, operational and efficient interface that will let us communicate from dolphin to human and human to dolphin.
Clearly, another form of intelligence resides in the ocean. Every scientist we've met is convinced our two species recognize each other as intelligent, sentient beings. Dolphins live in a world of cognition that is infinitely different from our own, even though it is very close on an emotional and social level. Like them, we are gregarious and communicative beings. We now know that in the near future, we'll be able to establish true communication with them. What will happen then? What will we say to each other?
It might open up humans to not only conserve more and respect the space and other species.
If I could communicate with dolphins one day, I'd really like to ask them to tell us what it's like to be a dolphin.
Well, if I could speak dolphin, I wouldn't say anything to them except to ask a lot of questions.
I'd have them explain their world in terms of the senses, what they hear, how they interact, what kind of society they live in.
I'd want to know what they're afraid of and what they most enjoy in life.
If I could understand whale, I think we could resolve a lot of things, certainly a lot of questions, and then we wouldn't have to keep them in captivity to do research.
I'd like to better understand the relationships that they have with each other. These are things that the emotions and things that you just can't quantify.
We'd finally have a portal to another form of intelligence, another world, and that's actually what's interesting.
As for Adam, his life has taken a new direction. Deeply moved by his adventure and armed with the knowledge he gained alongside Fabienne, Adam has decided to become an ambassador for the dolphin cause.
Great. Did you have a good time? High five. High five. High five. High five. Right.
He's joined the Whale and Dolphin Conservation, a charity dedicated to the defense of sea mammals, where he can share his experience with younger generations.
Cool.
Now, imagine if you could speak to a dolphin. What would your first question be?